My name is Bernadette O'Keefe, and I'm the Communications Manager at Eden Invitation. And we're doing something a little bit new here this June. We're having this video series called Story Chats. The idea is I just hop on here and I have a wee beverage in hand, and we just get to talk with community about what it's been like for them to be here, and most importantly, what it is like to encounter God's heart through their story. So here with me today are Julie and Robby.
I'm Julie. I've been a member of Eden Education since 2019. Yeah, 2019.
I'm Robby. I've been attending Eden Invitation events to Eden since 2019 and then
No, a little
starting
later than
to,
that.
no,
After we got married.
2021, I guess. And so I have come in as like an affiliate of EI and really love getting to know the people and be blessed by their presence.
Awesome. Yeah, and actually, do you want to just explain real quick what is an affiliate for Eden Invitation?
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
So an affiliate is someone who doesn't share in like an LGBTQ experience that the community members do, but they are someone who is kind of part of the community, brought in either through marriage or through
Being on like the pastoral team.
pastoral team. And so there's someone who is just kind of here to be blessed by the beautiful humans that are part of EI, to hopefully contribute and love all of you as well. And then also to just be like hype people that are just here to like love and be so happy about all that an invitation does.
Thank you. Yeah, this it's such a beautiful gift to have you both here. I mentioned earlier that I'm drinking water today actually instead of coffee. Normally these are like coffee chat kind of things, but I just was wondering if you are having a beverage, what are you having today? And what is your favorite and why? Got you on the spot.
Today I just have water. So I have like
Yeah,
water in
we're
this gigantic.
hydrating. We gotta hydrate.
Yes, it's good. It's hydrate. Like it's getting warmer here. That's what I definitely need. But my favorite is we got into making cold brew with our French press coffee maker, which makes us sound like coffee snobs, which I've been told I kind of am at this point. But it was other members of the Eden Invitation community that like got me into making cold brew. And then I realized I could do it in the French press and it was so much easier. So having some of that with some milk that's my favorite beverage. Gotta have that in the morning.
So there's like my answer, and then there's the like, I don't know, the one I actually want to talk about, like Shamrock Shakes, are like my favorite. It's my favorite thing.
All right.
Um,
Actually.
but Shamrock shakes. But what I also would love to talk about cold brew because there's something special about taking the whole beans out of the package and putting them in the hand grinder and sitting there and
You
hand
hand grind?
grinding it.
Yes,
Oh
we
yes.
hand grind because it was cheaper, and then like the electric ones, the reviews were like, I read so many reviews, and then like they're like they burn the beans, and I was like, I'm burning my beans if I'm having to grind them, because you have to grind the beans if you're going to use them in the French press anyway. Grind the beans, you
But
can
when you
smell beans.
yeah, like not only does it taste better fresh and all that, but then also like you appreciate your coffee more when you've had to spend the last 3 minutes sitting there hand grinding your coffee.
Yeah.
So like it's a good way to grow in patience. And you enjoy your coffee more because you've had to work overly hard than most people to make your coffee.
All
Yeah.
right. This is like I feel like this episode would have been really good, like right before Lent, of like, yes, the practice of the thing. But no, there is something to like embodying. I think like I think we sometimes miss out when we are like, oh, here's the ready-made thing. Because I get the experience of making something. I do also, I don't hand grind my coffee, but I do usually have pour over myself.
Wow,
That
I
I can appreciate the effort of the coffee there. But yeah, no, just water today for me as well. But some at some point there'll be coffee in here because now, Robby, you've been brought in by Julie. Julie has been part of the community. Julie, how did you first find out about Eden Invitation?
Such a good question. I can't remember how I like initially stumbled upon it, but I definitely knew about it through Seek, which is a conference for Catholic college students, because Anna Carter was coming to give a talk. And I knew they would also have a table, but I knew I was not going to go to the talk because I was there with some other students from my campus ministry, and I was like, they're going to ask me, "What talk did you go to?" And I am not telling them. It's the gay talk. So I was like, okay, nope, I'm not going to the talk as much as I wanted to. And I was like, I'll stop by the table. But I stopped by the table, and at that point, it was just Anna and Shannon. Like that was the whole staff, and neither of them was there. Somebody else was watching the table, and she's like, "I don't know anything. Like they'll be back at some point." And I was like, "But I won't be because that was my like one brave shot." So I found out definitely
Oh
through
no.
C, but I was like, I'll circle back later, which
Okay.
I did pretty quickly because then I joined the Lent book club in 2019. We were reading Interior Freedom, which is just such a good book. It's like my favorite
Jacques
books.
Philippe, right?
Yeah, Father Jacques Philippe. And it was just amazing. And I thought the online community was really great until we started having in-person gatherings right before we got married, which was really cool. And that's even better, to be together with people in person.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And actually, then how did you two meet?
So some people could say that we had chemistry, because we actually had organic chemistry together.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. So we actually had organic chemistry together. But we were part of the same like campus Bible study that a mutual friend was running. We had this beautiful first interaction where like I had the same Bible as my friend, except hers was like maroon and mine was blue.
Yeah.
So I just like swapped them, just to see what would happen, see if they noticed. And Julie at the time was the only person in the room. And, I was like, we'll see how long it takes her to, like our friend to realize this. And then Julie just kind of sat there
Oh no.
and said nothing and said nothing. So I was like, okay, all right. So that was like a beautiful first awkward interaction. And then, right, like we had seen each other in chemistry class. And we ended up talking on a what do you call it? Campus ministry retreat
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like fall retreat
Mhm.
while we were still in college. And then after bawling my eyes out in adoration, and I
As
just
one does,
wanted
yeah.
just wanted to go to bed. Julie was waiting around for other people, and the Holy Spirit was like, "Go talk to her." And I was like, "No, I ain't doing that." And the Holy Spirit was like, "Go talk to her." And I was like, "I want to go to bed." So I went and I talked to her, and here we are now.
Yeah, we talked for like 4 hours or something like that.
Talked
Oh
for a
my
very,
goodness.
very long
Yeah.
time. But, at the time, some people would be like, "That's crazy that they did that and stayed up." But we're married now.
Yes. Well,
So
different people
here we
were
are.
staying up and playing games, and I never stayed up on retreats. And then I stayed up. That's like the only time I stayed up late on a retreat was stop to.
So through church things during college and organic chemistry class.
Yeah.
Great. Wow. Organic chemistry. There it is. So then, because that was all in college, right? So that's like right around the time you're going to seek Julie, and then Robby,
Hmm.
you're like growing in your faith, you're being at Bible study things, book studies. When was it that like you guys started talking about the EI topic? Like, hey, this is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
when did that happen for you guys?
It was a beautiful spring night. It was
It
so
was
nice.
it was
It was fall.
it was
It
fall.
was a
Oh,
beautiful fall
oh,
night. Anyways, it was one of those like warm, windy nights, I guess, in the fall. We were going for a walk. I was having such a nice time. She was yet again really strange and awkward at the time and like didn't want to talk to me about
I
something.
was very nervous, but you didn't know that I wanted to talk to you about something, I don't think, until
No, I
after
didn't.
we
I
had this
was like,
lovely walk in the gardens and the
yeah.
campus we went to. Because he was the first person I told. The second person was Shannon, in my story call for Eden invitation. But yes, I was very nervous. But I think we had been dating for like 6 months or so, something like that. No, a little bit more than that. Yeah, 6 to 9 months, somewhere in there. And I just had this like conviction from the Holy Spirit, which I like don't usually have. Just like usually I'm just like wavering on every decision. I don't have this like certainty, but this is one of those moments where I had just certainty that I was like, I just need to tell him because if this is going to be an issue, then like we should just not waste our time. Like we don't need to be discerning marriage potentially if this is going to be like an issue that would,
Be a
just
deal
be
breaker.
the deal breaker. So I told him eventually. After waiting and stuff, but he received it very well. Yeah, and then that started opening up conversations. You listened well. You've always been a good listener. So just listening well and then yeah, asking some questions later just to sort of clarify more and more.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know that is a tender moment in any discernment of like, all right, here's my big thing. What are you going to do with it, other person that I care about? So, Julie, I know you said that you did a story call, so like this is part of your experience. But Robby, for you, then what was it like to start walking with Julie in that and then to become an affiliate with Eden Invitation?
Yeah, I started off as like her Uber driver.
I
Um,
really don't like driving. So he drove me because our in-person group, like we all have to drive a little bit to get to some of the gatherings. So he started off as my driver.
yes, so I was just driving. It was very interesting. So like the first event that I ever came to, it was too far that like I just had to stay.
Yeah, it was more
And
of a like informal
it
thing.
was informal. So like I was just kind of like a fly on the wall, listening, learning. I was like, oh, like I feel I didn't get exposure to, like even in I guess like normal Catholic circles, if someone has one of these experiences, they're not gonna like just talk about it openly, right? Because there can be a lot. They don't know how safe that is, and so like being in this safe space, I got to like experience some people as they were for the first time, like just being themselves. That was really beautiful. And so like I was like, wow, that was really fun. Like I really liked just being with those people. There was a fun bonfire. Like that was super cool. But then like as some more formal hearth group events started happening, I had originally just told Julie I'd go find somewhere to do something
Yeah, hang out
for a
or do
couple
some work on it
hours.
or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. And then I was like, well, like we're having dinner and he would come at the end to pick me up. And I was like, well, there's like lunch. So I was like, can he like just, have a little food before we drive back? And then they're like, well, he could like eventually it was like, well, he can like come for dinner. Like we'll have our community time, but then like he can join for dinner. And we have some other married people that have been part of the Hearth group from the beginning. So it was like, oh, okay, so like now we can have like the other spouse join for dinner, and it's sort of organically evolved from there. We still have like our set community times, just the Eden invitation community members, and then we have families join for dinner. So it's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So step one was leftovers, and then we moved up to normal time. And now it's this beautiful space where whatever the like community members need, they get that time, they get that space, and they're like, we'll go for a walk or we'll like play in another part of a house with Legos or whatever is needed. And then we also have that like all community time, and so the structure of our Hearth group meetings is kind of given everybody what they need and brought everybody in the places that they can really contribute and benefit from. Yeah, and being brought into prayer too, right? Because like we do evening prayer every Hearth group, which is a really awesome way for us to, there's the like sharing time, there's the eating time,
Mhm.
and then there's prayer. So like that's like really beautiful that we held that. So some of it is just as these hearth groups were being figured out, like the structure kind of allowed me to fit into a place that I could,
And we can bring in
yeah,
more spouses too. We've
yeah,
had more
very
married
nice
people
house.
join, which is
Yeah.
really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
That's right, because I do kind of remember this era as like we're starting Hearth groups around like 2021. It was like, okay, there's like clearly like you've been involved with Eden Invitation, you've been online, but some of us are living close together. I remember you guys coming up in conversations of like, oh yeah, we do have like spouses that are here and they're like on fire and dedicated and want to be part of the community too. And I was like, why not? Of course, absolutely.
Hmm.
So I'm just really grateful for the gift of your lives and like you're willing to be in that like growing space of like, okay, Eden Invitation is becoming a thing and like what does it mean for you both to have space here? Just
Yeah.
really beautiful
That's why I
there.
love that it's like it's a community. So like we get
Yeah,
to
yeah.
evolve organically together. Like I know when Anna talks, she's like, it's not a ministry, it's a community. And we can just sort of feel that and how it's like organically evolved to just like meet the needs of all the members and we can influence like, just the direction of where it's going. Like
Mhm.
we're all part of that.
Yeah, I've shared this in a couple other spaces, but I've been blessed to go on some trips in other parts of the country, and I've been able to be like, who wants to go to mass? And so like I've been able to go to mass with Eden Invitation members like in other parts of the country, and like they've like gone out of their way and set aside time to like
Mm.
hang out with me and go pray with me and do like holy hours with me, even at 5 in the morning,
Really, five in
and
the
so
morning?
like
Goodness.
yes, yes.
Wow.
And so like that's really beautiful of like that's how much the community means, and that's how much like their faith means
Mm.
to them too.
Gosh, yeah. And actually just like even talking about we've shared a couple different stories, but I would love to know if like there's a story that really illustrates for you what it's been like to see, because it's like we talk about community and we talk about like LGBT experiences and like some of the reasons that we're here, but also the key reason we're here is we've somehow experienced God's heart and like God inviting us deeper in to encounter him. So I just would love to know like what's something that would like illustrate that for you guys?
For me, it's that experience of being in the hearth groups. Of I found that with a lot of with like most Eid invitation people, like we know that like our LGBT experience is a thing that we all have in common. So like even if you don't like know all of the like where exactly do they fall, what is their experience like, what's already out on the table. So like you already know the thing that like people are often like the most scared to share about. Like that's already out in the open. Like you just know that that's a given when you're encountering someone else who's part of the community. So I think that just paves the way for like even more sharing and just like this feeling of safety, which I think Robby brought up, like that this is a safe space. And for hearth groups, when we have our community member time, we're like sharing like the highs and lows of like that last like month or so since we've seen each other last. And during that time, like I think people are sharing stuff that they like don't necessarily feel comfortable sharing with other people in their life. And I know it's definitely true for me. That I'm like, I know that whatever I bring to that sharing time is going to be received well.
Mm.
Like it's not going to just be like an onslaught of advice or there's no judgment. There's just going to be openness and receiving and listening. And for me, that's just like embodied experience of experiencing how God's heart is. It's like how much more God's heart is just open to receiving us and just being there for whatever we've experienced for our stories. We talk about stories like so much in the invitation, but um we
We
just
do. We
yeah,
really
we just
like
love it. We love
stories.
the word. We really do like it. It's so good. It's so good. But that is, that's how God receives our stories and whatever we bring to him. It's just with that openness and acceptance. And I think the beautiful thing too with the invitation community is that people are coming from different vocations, just different places in their life, and we're all able to receive each other really well. Because I think there's like sometimes like this misconception that like, oh, like single people, they don't get like married people or like they don't get like people with kids. Like, but there's just like such a beautiful openness to welcoming Robby into the community, welcoming the kids that are, like there with like their parents, having Legos in another part of the house for the kids to play with. So they're not just like bored and trying to interrupt the conversation that's happening. That like there is just like this beautiful like understanding and welcome, and that we can all just have that sense of belonging in community, which is so genuine. No one's faking it. And we can all just step into each other's stories with empathy and compassion, listen to them, and be received well. That experience of just being in community with other people just helps me see how much God loves us, just welcomes us in. And yeah, it's not something that I've experienced in other parts of my life. Like, like in bits and pieces, but I think just like so completely and wholeheartedly with the community members that are local to us.
Thank you. Robbie, how about you?
Story that I've kind of been thinking about is not so much like EI related, but it's still definitely like God's heart. And I think God does not always give us presents with bows on them, but sometimes he does, right? Like Hearth Group is a big present with a bow, right? It's this beautiful thing that's
An outpouring
very,
of generosity.
yeah, outpouring of generosity. And like I was just thinking about when our son was born. He was born right before our wedding anniversary. So we were like celebrating the sacrament of our marriage. while we were celebrating the birth of our son. And at that time, like right while we were in the hospital, I got a notification that like I'd been accepted for like a fellowship for my job, and that I'd also been offered an interview at for a job that I really wanted.
That you needed to be able to
And
have to accept the fellowship. Like, yeah.
yes, so it was like you're celebrating your marriage, celebrating birth of a child. You need money. Here's a job. Here's something to support you for your job. It's been one weekend. There you go.
Yeah.
And so I've been very fortunate in my life to like see that I don't know, like tangible outpouring of God's love and like from his heart. And that's also made the times when it's less apparent
Mm-hmm.
that like it reminds me of like, no, I've seen this in my life. I've seen that generosity and I know of his heart and his outpouring for all of us. And so that's just been something that's been on my mind of how generous God has been to me and how in those moments where I don't feel it, I know that he's still generous.
God is so generous, and I just thank you so much too that you've been generous with me and for all the people watching to share a little glimpse into your life and like your life as it intersects with Eden Invitation. Robby and Julie, I'm so thankful for both of you to sharing your stories today. And I just want to say, like, is there anything you would like people to know if they're thinking about supporting Eden Invitation or learning more? What would you like to say to those people watching this?
That's a really good question. I think just the big thing is that just Ian Invitation has just created this beautiful community scape, a space that it's just been so needed in the church. Just to, I think that sense of belonging and acceptance of, my LGBT experience, but also like just like my acceptance of like just my whole self, like into like, yeah, I really do belong in the church. It's just such a powerful thing that our community provides. And we love it. We like participate in so many of the programs. We also like donate to Eat an Invitation just because we can't pick that many causes a month, but like that's the one that we have picked that we always donate to because we just know that the community is just providing just such a valuable space for people in the church to know that they belong, they're beloved, unrepeatable, and just held in God's heart.
And as Julie said earlier, this is a community, it's not a ministry. And so, like, when you're supporting Eden Invitation, you are supporting the community. There are people who want to go on retreats, and these funds support them. They support the staff that are doing the really good work to help support the community and whatever the community like naturally does. And as Julie just also pointed out, right, like people in this community are able to actually be their authentic selves. And like that's what we need in the church is we need saints. And we only get to that holiness and that sainthood by being ourselves as God made us to be. And so people are enabled from and through this community, to be able to be themselves and to serve the church and to serve, everyone in their lives
Mm-hmm.
because they're empowered through this community.
I do appreciate what you say. You've said it a few times about like Eat Invitation is not like primarily a ministry, it's also like deeply a community. It's that interesting thing that we walk with both of like the ministry exists to keep the community going, but the community is also the thing that keeps the ministry going, truly. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
we really can't do it without each other. Just like we can't if one is called to marriage, you need two people, right? You go together. Thank you so much for sharing your heart for this mission and for this community and all the ways that it needs support and it needs you. One last thing, we do a lot of toasts here at Eden Invitation, so I would ask you to raise your beverage of choice, and I would love to toast you two. Thank you so much for the gifts of your story, for your yes to each other, and most deeply, your yes to God and taking whatever next steps were happening on this wild adventure of your lives. So, the lives together in vocation, lives with young kids, and lives in community with so many others. So, thank you so much for your generosity. And I toast you and your hearts. Cheers.
Cheers. I want to toast Julie for bringing me into the Eden Invitation community and the community for bringing me in and showing me how to be a more loving person and to take greater interest in my faith and yeah, for all the stuff that you do as well to get the word out so that way people can know about it, right? Because Julie had to learn about it at some point too. So thank you for all the people that you have touched by doing what you do.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
I just want to toast Bernadette and all of the Invitation staff just for all of the hard work that you guys do, the part you have for our community and all the individual members. Yeah, just especially you, Bernadette. Yeah, with communications, it's just so important to get the word out. Thank you for just stewarding our stories to be able to share them with everybody else and just coming with and just the creativity you bring to showcase community members' art and, written stories, these video stories. Thank you for sharing the creativity that you've been blessed with all of us. Cheers.
You. Cheers. Thank you so much, Julie and Robby, for joining me on Story Chats, this new little adventure here at EI. And I look forward to seeing you around either on travels if I'm ever through your area or at retreat upcoming. We'll see you around. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you who took the time to listen to Robby and Julie and their story. I hope that this has blessed you today and has given you a little message of hope and encouragement in the middle of your day. If you're interested in more things about Eden Invitation or other people like Robby and Julie, you can check out our website, edeninvitation.com. And on our stories page, you have more videos and articles with people with LGBTQ experiences seeking to live the church's teaching and walk ever closer to God's heart. Thank you so much for joining us once again, and God bless. Bye.